friends, and thanks for joining me. And today I have a dozen money-saving Thanksgiving tips because Thanksgiving comes right before another holiday season, which can be kind of expensive. And so not having to spend so much money on Thanksgiving can definitely be very helpful to our budget so that we don't, spend too much now and then we end up overspending not long from now. So yeah, different ways that we can save some money is usually welcome around our place. And so let me share some of the tips that we use with you. So the first one is to make less food. Most people make probably more food than their families can eat, and that's why we end up with all these crazy amounts of leftovers. And so to, just avoid all of that expense and then all of the leftovers in the first place, we can always just make less food. So maybe target the items that our families enjoy the most, and then eliminate some of the ones that people don't like maybe as much. And I'm sure there'll be more than enough to still go around. Assign side dishes to other people and maybe do some of the side dishes in a potluck style. So instead of, one person like my mom having to make everything for everyone, why not she just make the turkey and then our family can bring this or even a couple of things, and then my brother's families can each bring a couple of ththings each, and then we can just take care of all of those side dishes. That way not only is she gonna be like way less stressed having to make all of it herself, but also it spreads out the expense so she doesn't have to come up with as much money from, having to pay for all of it in the first place. So, if you want to try that in your own family, definitely welcome, especially if there are picky eaters in the family. And so if there are people that don't like this or want this a certain way, just have them make it themselves and then bring it. So cook from scratch when and where you can. Now, obviously, there can be a lot of work to be done on Thanksgiving, so cooking from scratch can be a little bit difficult, but if there are certain things that you can do maybe earlier on, many pies can be made a day or even a couple days ahead of time so that you can kind of spread out the work so that you don't have as much to do. So cooking from scratch definitely saves some money, and then to make that, less expensive, you can kind of make some things ahead of time and then it won't be such a burden on the actual Thanksgiving day, and then you'll be able to better enjoy your friends and family, which is the whole point of the idea of the, holiday anyway, right? Now the next one is pretty obvious, but it's shop sale items. But this time of year, a lot of stuff can go on some pretty deep discounts. They have these things in grocery store terminology called loss leaders, and these are going to be things that they're actually selling at cost or even below cost to try to get people into the stores. So the idea is they'll offer some of these loss leaders, and it's like, oh my gosh, a penny for a box of, stuffing or something like that. The idea is to get you in that store and then do all of your shopping in that store. And so if you can try and shop these sale items, it'll definitely help save some money. And I personally, number 5, like to shop in multiple stores. So I will just jump from store to store and get, the sale items from each. It's important to avoid impulse buys though, because frequently when we go into a store, we can also pick up a few other things while we're there, negating any of the savings from having gone to the multiple stores in the first place. But multiple stores can be helpful. A couple things to consider though. If the stores are far apart or if you have to drive, a distance to get there, it may negate again the savings from going, and so that may not be worth it. In my area, all the stores are very close together, so there's really very little commute time. There's no commute time, and very little gas is spent going from one store to the next. So it actually makes sense for us. The second thing is you would want to make sure that you have the store cards, because frequently they won't give the sale items unless you're a club member or, it's a club member price or something similar to those words, where you'll want to make sure that you have the store card in order to be able to take advantage of the biggest discounts and the biggest sales. Number 6 is coupons. Now, I'm not usually a big fan of coupons. However, I will say that this time of year, they do tend to have some better ones, especially if you're able to stack them with some sales, which is what super couponing is anyway. It's taking, coupons and then taking an item when it's on sale and then getting it for a really, really reduced price. And so this is a way to get, some really big discounts by using those coupons. And you'll want to make sure to take advantage of all the coupons in the different flyers, the newspapers, online. There's a lot of different sources that stores are using for coupons these days. And so make sure to shop multiple sources and then make sure you're getting all of the coupon offers that you possibly can. Here's a pro tip, but it's not one of the tips because it doesn't really save money for Thanksgiving specifically. Because there are so many things that go on some big discounts, and again, there's a lot of coupons that you can actually stack with a lot of those items, now can also be a good time to stock up on some things that you would normally use and then save money on your budget later on. So, if you know that you don't eat cranberry sauce or stuffing unless it's Thanksgiving, but don't stock up on those items necessarily. But what about when, like last year, they had like $1 for 10-pound bags of potatoes at one of my local stores, or just other items like that, stocks or broths, those can be really helpful. Soup season is coming up, it's winter on the way. And so, having a lot of that kind of stuff can help us with other meals in the future. And so if we can get those items for half, a third, a quarter of their normal cost, and then just keep them stocked, we'll be able to use those, in the future and then save money on our budget later. So again, this was just a kind of bonus tip thrown in there. Number 7 would be meal planning with leftovers. So you're going to have the leftovers even if you're making less food, so you might as well plan to use them. So just, obviously turkey and cheese sandwiches is really common, turkey noodle soup, which tastes just like chicken noodle soup. No, but even get a little bit creative and make different things. If you have leftovers like mashed potatoes, maybe make shepherd's pie. Or there was just like a magazine flyer thingy that came out in the newspaper just this last weekend that had like, ideas for leftovers. It was like turkey and cheese, or turkey and potato and cheese frittatas, which is like a baked egg dish, or just the different things like that. So you can meal plan with those leftovers to make sure that we're going to use them, because reducing waste is definitely going to help reduce, food costs as well. So, or tip number 8, if you're really just sick of eating all of these turkey and all the Thanksgiving food, then you can just freeze the stuff for later use, and then when you're not sick of the turkey, it'll come in handy. So, rather than let the stuff go to waste, definitely freeze any leftovers that you have, because they can definitely come in handy again in the future, especially for busy days or when you need just some quick meal options or things like that. Tip number 9 is about the dishes. Use real dishes. It's kind of ironic, I feel like, when we use paper throwaways, that it costs more money, but it makes the meal feel cheaper. So using real dishes not only is cheaper, but it actually makes it feel more fancy and nice. And so what we do in our family is we kind of share we delegate out the work from having to do all of the dishes, and I tend to be the one who helps a lot with that. Get your friends and family to help, whoever's there, why not, and just use those real dishes. It'll definitely help on the environment too, from having to reduce all of the paper throwaways. Tip number 10, use decorations that you already have. Things like candles that you maybe have on a bookshelf somewhere, and you could take it out and put it on your table. Or maybe some winter squash or something like that you've grown in your garden. Or just some fresh fruit or something similar to that, Having some things that you have around in your house that you can shop for, so to speak, and then put together some cool decorations would definitely help reduce on costs. Number 11 would be to find some free decorations that you find around outside of your house. Things like pine cones that you can go find in your yard, or greenery that you can cut down from some shrubs, or different things like that. Maybe some corn husks from when you've shucked some corn and just let them dry out. That definitely looks very Thanksgiving-y. Even cool kid projects from a while ago. Maybe you have some cute little, pine cone turkeys that your kids have made, and they have little mom and baby, turkey things or whatever. Just some different little decorations that you have. These kind of things can be more meaningful anyway, and they're nice conversation pieces, so I like using them. Less to buy and less to store, so it's definitely very useful. And then if you do want to buy some decorations, you can get some inexpensive stuff from the dollar store. Like this little arrangement here came from the dollar store. The 2 types of ribbon that I got for this bow came from the dollar store, and it's very nice. It's wired ribbon so it can stay in place and things like that. So you can make some really inexpensive DIY decorations. So if you do buy decorations, you can use some really inexpensive ones that you can get from, say, the dollar store or other inexpensive stores that you have in your area. So hopefully these tips were helpful to you. I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your friends and family. And maybe some of these tips could help you save some money for, another really cool frugal person's holiday, Black Friday. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.